Hello and welcome to Bio in Our Life. Today we are going to learn about antibiotic resistance. Antibiotics are used to combat bacterial infections. Antibiotic resistance is a phenomena in which the bacteria continues to survive even in the presence of antibiotics. The bacteria are not affected by the antibiotics. Bacteria acquires a mutation which transcribes to a new protein, which provides the bacteria with a powerful tool, making them resistant to antibiotics. Let us look at the mechanisms which bacteria use in order to survive in the presence of antibiotics. Efflux, or pumping the antibiotic out. Cell membrane permeability is modified in order to prevent the entry of antibiotics. Modifying the antibiotic's target. Inactivation of the antibiotic molecule itself. Efflux, or pumping the antibiotic molecule out of the cell. Bacteria develop a special membrane protein which drives the antibiotic molecules out of the cell so that the bacteria can continue to survive even in the presence of antibiotics. Bacteria modifies its cell membrane permeability so that the antibiotic molecule cannot enter the cell. Bacteria modifies the antibiotic's target so that the antibiotic will not be able to bind to its target site, thus rendered ineffective. This mechanism is usually used in case of protein synthesis inhibiting antibiotics. Such antibiotics usually bind either at the 50S or 30S subunit of the ribosome, thus preventing translation and protein synthesis, thereby killing the bacteria. Bacteria modify the target site on the 50S and 30S subunit of the ribosome so that the antibiotic will not be able to bind on the 50S or 30S subunit and the translation and protein synthesis continues normally, allowing the bacteria to survive even in the presence of the antibiotic. Bacteria enzymatically inactivate the antibiotic molecule, rendering it ineffective. Bacteria acquire a number of mutations over the time. They retain only those mutations which are of advantage to them. In the absence of antibiotics, antibiotic resistant bacteria have no advantage over antibiotic sensitive bacteria. Thus, over time, the property is lost. However, in the presence of antibiotics, antibiotic resistant bacteria have an advantage over the antibiotic sensitive ones. Slowly, the other bacteria present in the population acquire this mutation, gaining the advantage. The use of antibiotics drives the selection of antibiotic resistant bacteria. Antibiotic resistance spreads either vertically or horizontally. In case of vertical gene transfer, once the parental cell acquires the mutation and gains antibiotic resistance, it transfers the property to its daughter cells. Thus, the antibiotic resistance is transferred from one generation to the next. In case of horizontal gene transfer, once a cell acquires antibiotic resistance, it then transfers the property to other cells in the population within the same generation. Plasmids and bacteriophages usually transfer antibiotic resistance horizontally. Infections caused by antibiotic resistant bacteria are difficult to treat. Treatment for such infections are usually expensive and toxic for the patient. Superbugs are certain bacteria which have acquired resistance to most antibiotics and are difficult to eliminate. Antibiotic resistance has been accelerated due to the overuse and improper use of antibiotics. Antibiotic resistance is a huge threat to the healthcare industry. Antibiotics must be prescribed only when needed. Correct use of prescribed antibiotics. Completing the prescribed course of antibiotics. Minimizing unnecessary and overuse of antibiotics. Infection control and good hygiene. Together, we can prevent the spread of antibiotic resistance by following these steps. Thank you for watching the video. Do like, share, comment and subscribe.